Hello everyone and welcome back to AutomaTitan Cracks One Out. Last time we gave Subtitle Guy the first part of his birthday present in the form of the second best Transformers game ever made, Devastation. However, as we mentioned in that video, there can be only one choice for the best Transformers game ever made. If you thought Subtitle Guy squealed last time, then get ready to see him turn into an 8-year-old schoolgirl, because today we're cracking one out with Fall of Cybertron. Alright, don't climax too early. Don't say it. Do you want me to do an entire video on Bumblebee or what? Yeah, think on. And just be thankful Fall of Cybertron doesn't have Windblade in it. Yes, we're all perfectly aware of how you feel about Little Miss Mary Sue representation. You gonna behave? Anyway, Fall of Cybertron. It's the best Transformers game ever made. That takes the good bits from War for Cybertron, cuts out the bullshit bits, adds in more structure to the narrative, and lets you play as some of the true icons of the franchise. Nope. But what we are doing is switching up the Cracks One Out formula today, because there are 3 things that give Transformers its enduring popularity. The first is the ideological battle between Prime and Megatron, between Liberty and Tyranny, which is basically the most timeless plotline ever. The second is the simple joy of robots turning into things, which made the toys into some of the most popular in human history. And the third and final thing is, quite simply, the characters. Pick any character and you'll find someone in the fandom who adores them. It's that last part that's going to form the backbone of this video, because instead of the usual format, we're going to do a sort of highlights reel. And since this is part of your birthday present, Subtitle Guy, you can pick the characters we look at. So, who are we doing first? Apparently we're starting with a character you don't actually play in the game, although, to be honest, is that really a surprise? I mean, it's Metroplex. He's fucking massive. Realistically, that'd be the most boring level in any game, ever. Cause all you do is wander around while tiny things the size of ants make pew pew noises at you until Optimus Prime tells you to punch something. Dear God, that'd be fun. It's a damn shame Triptychon's still in stasis lock during this game, really. After getting his shit firmly pushed in during the first game, poor big bastard, stuck in stasis lock, doesn't get to fight his arch enemy, and as for what eventually happens to him, well... Anyway, Metroplex. Playing as him would be kinda boring, what with the lack of Triptychon, so Fall of Cybertron takes the more fun route of having you commanding Metroplex from down on the battlefield as Optimus Prime, by which I mean you call in Metroplex's artillery strikes and then everything explodes. It's loud, bombastic and fun as hell, and it's a complete contrast to what's coming next, because up next we've got the coolest motherfucker on Cybertron. Yes, it's the robot who Shaft wishes he was. It's motherfucking Jazz. I know exactly why this dude's been included, and it's only partly to do with his level being fun to play, as you swing along with his grappling hook, which Subtitle Guy assures me is a shout out to his G1 self. It's also partly to do with the fact that his voice actor, Troy Baker, does an uncanny impression of the late great Scatman Crothers, who voiced him during G1. I mean, sure, those are reasons why Subtitle Guy loves the Jazz sections, but they're not the big reason. Go on, tell the lovely viewers why you love him so much. I mean, they do say you never forget your first. Moving on. Next up, we switch over to the Decepticon part of the story, with the first flying character in the game, who happens to be a psychotic fucker with rotor blades.
The Autobots must know we're coming. They keep getting in our way.
The thing you'll notice when you play as Vortex is that the levels are suddenly fucking immense. They were big enough when you were a ground pounder, but now that you've got wings, the whole level opens up to give you the opportunity to fly about all over the place and harass those disgusting Autobots from the air, only to then drop down 3 feet behind them and use Vortex's special ability to force push them off a ledge. The characterization's on point too, with Vortex's psychotic airborne troll being a nice counterpoint to the seemingly arrogant but secretly deeply lonely speed demon that is Blastoff, and the explosion-obsessed man-child that is Brawl. It also counterpoints nicely with the next character on the list, because the next one would sell his own knees if he thought he could make a profit. You think we're joking? Seriously, Swindle once sold the rest of the Combaticons. It takes a special kind of money-grubbing shithouse to sell people you technically share a brain with. But then, his name is Swindle. Of course, that's a character trait that's not necessarily going to work well as a gameplay mechanic. Well, it possibly could in an RPG, but not in a balls-out action game like this. So instead, Swindle gets Jazz's grappling hook and an autocannon for a mission where you spend most of your time in alt mode and the game suddenly turns into Carmageddon. And then you board the Energon hauler and take out the AA guns, and we get to a section where the concept of enemies being a threat is just thrown completely out the window, because it's time to become the big guy.
We need to take control of this ship. Combaticons, combine into Bruticus.
Oh, fuck yes. You remember how I said that playing as Metroplex would have been boring, because literally everyone else is too small to be a threat to him, or to be honest, for him to even notice at all? Well, that doesn't apply to Bruticus. I mean, yes, most bots are too small to be any kind of threat to him, what with him having 10 times as much health as anyone else, but he's not Citybot sized, so while enemies aren't a threat, they're big enough to be noticeable. By which I mean, they're big enough to make an amusingly crunchy clang when you twat them into space. Now, some people might say that playing as an unkillable monster isn't particularly satisfying, but you need to look at it from the perspective of a Transformers fan, and fortunately, I have attained one of those handy. Hush your gob. You know when Bruticus is in the game? How would you have reacted if the Combaticons had been in the game, but you hadn't been allowed to play as Bruticus? I rest my case. The thing that makes Fall of Cybertron so much better than its predecessor is that the gameplay is so much more varied than before. You had some grappling hook action with Jazz, some Carmageddon action with Swindle, and then High Moon Studios went to mix things up by letting you play as an immortal instrument of destruction. But then came the moment that everyone had been waiting for, including the game's director Matt Teager. Yes, it's time. After all the foreplay, it's time for our award.
I'd do anything to get it and feel no regret. Time is running out and I ain't found it yet. Oh, I can't believe I want it so bad I can't taste it.
Sorry, I was miles away. Look, you know I love Grimlock. Fuck, even my avatar on here is inspired by his glorious implacable face. What did you think was going to happen there? Don't judge me. Fine, whatever. Look everyone, Grimlock, and it's the version that a sizable number of fans say is the proper Grimlock 2. You see, in the last video we talked about how the one in Transformers Devastation is absolutely 100% the G1 cartoon comedy dunce version of Grimlock. But we also mentioned that there was another version of G1 Grimlock, namely the magnificent ruthless bastard from the Marvel G1 comics. That version was most definitely not thick as pig shit. That version was a platinum tier badass with a speech impediment.
Where is Sludge? He didn't even make it out of the caves. Snarl, last I heard.
This was not a Grimlock who'd get confused by big words and try to headbutt himself. This was a Grimlock who, when he took over leadership of the Autobots after Prime died, used torture, not on the enemy, but on dissidents within his own ranks, and came very close to executing Blaster as a traitor. And the one in Fall of Cybertron is 100% Marvel G1 Grimlock.
And Optimus was wrong.
And thus, he is a platinum tier badass who shakes up the game's format yet again by being a melee only character. He does have a ranged attack, but instead of using guns, his ranged attack involves picking up some poor bastard and throwing him full tilt at his mates. Oh, and he can only transform into fire-breathing Space T-Rex mode when he gets angry enough, so he's basically the Hulk now. And thus, I love literally everything about him. His big sword, his stupidly OP Dino mode, his growly angry voice, his ridiculously brutal execution moves that would make Doomguy fall in love with a 50-foot tall alien robot. Literally everything about Grimlock is glorious, and you can see why High Moon kept his level as the last one before the finale. Yeah, Matt Teager wasn't lying when he said Grimlock's his favourite Transformer. You can see it during every single second that the big guy spends on screen, because this is a game that gets Grimlock. It understands completely what the character should be, and as a result, we got what may be the perfect Grimlock. And it's a damn good job that Matt Teager loves Grimlock, because, believe it or not, Hasbro, in their infinite wisdom, were going to permanently retire the character. Seriously, one of the coolest characters in the franchise, and Hasbro were going to kill him off. Thank Christ Matt Teager went to bat for him, because he saved the character that would, thanks to this game, go on to be my favourite. Sincerely, dude, thank you so much for that. But anyway, yes, after all that foreplay, Grimlock is basically the money shot. Well, except he's not, because shockingly, High Moon managed to top even that. Yeah, the final battle is about as epic as it gets. You see, we've been focusing on the characters in this video, and the final battle does the exact same thing by focusing on 6 of them, with you jumping back and forth between them. So you start a song with infiltrating the Ark, and then the swirly G1 scene transition icon pops up, and BAM! Suddenly you jet fire, flying around in space between the Ark and the Nemesis, trying to take down the tow cables that are locking the 2 cruisers together. Also, Jetfire is Australian now. I'm not sure why. Oh, well, either way, you managed to sever the cables and then, boom! You're now the walking instrument of destruction again.
They all combine to keep the Imperials behind as the big bad battle is brewing.
And so, it's time for another round of utterly putting the shits up every single Autobot on the battlefield. Well, all except one of course, because nothing phases the coolest motherfucker of Cybertron. Yeah, now you understand why High Moon spent so much time letting us experience what an unstoppable monster Bruticus is. It's because now, we have to actually fight the fucker. Time for the epic team up between Jazz and Jetfire, involving EMP mines, grappling hooks and fecking big airstrikes. I tell you what, High Moon don't half know how to ramp up the excitement, because this is fucking epic. So with the monster taken down, it's time for the reason why we're all here. It's time to pick a side and bring this battle to an end. Because it's rating time. I think you can probably guess how this conclusion is going to go, based on the fact that we gushed about the game in the intro, and based on how the last 2 videos have ended. Yeah, basically that. Because yet again, just like with Devastation, the game has been delisted on Steam, PSN and the Xbox Store. And while it was a shame in the case of Devastation, it's a fucking tragedy here, because Fall of Cybertron is, by a considerable margin, the single greatest Transformers game ever made. Basically, High Moon took all the criticisms of War for Cybertron and crafted a sequel that, to my mind, answered all those complaints. Sure, they sacrificed co-op to make it happen, but the result was a really tightly crafted story with really solid gameplay and some actual variety in the missions. There may be some places still selling the physical version or any overstock of Steam codes they have left over, but I bet that they only work in America, so Transformers fans in the UK will be shit out of luck. And so, yet a fucking again, lawyers ruin everything, which means that our rating has to reflect that. I think there's only one accurate way to sum up how I feel about the game being delisted. So, our rating is...
Me Titan munch metal! And lawyers! Slugging assholes!
And on that handy-dandy demonstration of why we can't have nice things, it's time to end. Thanks very much for watching, I am AutomaTitan, and remember, if you do a birthday video for your subtitle minion about the best game in his favourite franchise, and it ends on an angry note, then you should be nicer and let the video end on a high instead. It certainly does, my friend. We need to make up for the shocking lack of Stan Bush in Devastation. Cue the slagging music.
You got the touch. You got the power.